feed on them. We have seen them take advantage of hatchlings coming out and getting
Bring
a little meal.
Argus's head to the left a little. And
yep.
you can zoom in there. Get it. That's a good shot of her. Right before Argus hits the cliff.
That's when the best shot
These
happens.
white squiggly lines are tube worms. And they seem to be most abundant in these vent areas.
You can see some eggs in the lower right corner there.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can see in between her arms there.
Great.
She heard you. She's covering them up.
Now she's hiding.
Very modest.
For those of us on shore, they are just coming into view.
Yeah, so this shimmering here is very subtle, but there are areas we've already seen tonight that you couldn't even make out the suckers on the octopus. The shimmering was so intense. It was like a very blurry fog.
Okay, Steve, can you zoom out for us? Time to go. Zoom out on Argus as well, please. Why do they do that weird thing with their tentacles like that?
Yeah, curling them around and everything. We've seen them actually cleaning their eggs before, but a lot of times you'll see them do it and they're not physically touching their eggs, so I don't know if...
Zoom in there for a second, Steve.
Yeah, there's that very active one right there. So you can see her eggs right below her. Sometimes they'll come into contact, but I'm not sure exactly what that behavior is unless they're cleaning off their tentacles. Kind of like a cat cleaning itself. I don't know.
Okay, zoom out. Thanks.
So we still have a lot of ground to cover tonight, but what I can say, and this is just subjective, but the octopus garden, the original nursery, has a couple of very high concentrations, but the octopus can be very sparse. But this cone here has been pretty constant with a bunch of groupings of even up to, 50 in a particular area all around the cone, and we haven't even gone to the summit yet, which they seem to be more dense there, at least last year. But I think I have a gut feeling that this place is going to have most certainly more octopus than the original octopus garden. That's why we're doing this, so we can count them later.
Looking at the high pack, the navigation screen, you can either see it on quad, camera 4, or feed number 3. Looks like we've made a full revolution around this cone at least once. What do you think the radius is of that, Rennie?
Sure,
Approximately,
yeah.
not an exact.
The first radius when we first went around, it's a bit, let's see, sorry, let me just take a little zoom out because I know they went. So their first radius was about 100 meter, 100 meter radius, something like that. And now our second one, we're just now starting, and it's a bit oval shaped, but it'll probably be closer to 70 meter radius, something like that.
Thanks.
And
can we do a quick zoom on that male? That's, well, it might be a male, the one that's kind of stretched out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Left side.
Zoom in.
He moved his arm, if it's a he, moved his arm in. I was going to see if we could find the if it was a male, the modified third arm.
Busted
tucked
him
in.
Nope,
there.
that's okay, we can go. It was just, yeah, it's just hiding, so
I think
I'm,
it is a male.
yeah, I think
I
so
saw the
too.
tip curled
Oh.
over.
I think southwest ought to get you there. Give you a bit more leash.
I'm losing the race here.
Yeah.
Do you think they're more protective of that arm because it's involved in their reproduction?
I've
I
held
mean-
it momentarily.
I mean, I am.
What's that, Rennie?
I've held it momentarily. Oh, we get caught up.
So we are currently at 3,089 meters, so about 2 miles deep into the sea, and the temperature is 1.6 degrees Celsius.
Where do
so
I need to go?
just over
Southwest?
freezing.
It looks like south is doing you enough, but if you need to get close at Argus, it would be a bit west. Southwest, yeah. And I'm going to call in a 135. That'll help us get, let's see, does that make sense? Yeah, that'll go this way on Argus. Okay. Trying to get a sense of how this curves around here.
Roger.
1, 3,
I'm completely lost today.
it's all right.
Well, usually always lost.
This
Down today completely.
one's a difficult one for sure. You're facing 90. So yeah, 135.
Roger.
Bridge nav. 30 meters, 135. Thank you. So Argus there.
Looking at our track on HiPAC, you can understand why Dan just said he feels lost. We're going in a bit of a spiral around this volcanic cone on the southeast flank of Davidson Sea.
Feels like we're going in circles.
Kind of feel like I'm going in circles, but I'm not sure. We've gone east, we've gone northeast, we've gone
Yeah.
the other east, which for me is west, yes.
So as far as I remember, the maximum dive depth for this vehicle for Hercules is about 4,000 meters. Is that right, Dan?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Does anything get harder or weird as we get closer to that limit? What changes?
The biggest thing for us is the, so we have 5,000 and change meters of wire on the drum, on the winch. And so the deeper we get, the longer it takes when Rennie moves the ship for that to actually translate to Argus. So everything becomes this dance of, okay, if we want to go here, it's going to take 10 minutes after we move the ship for Argus to actually move. And then, so Rennie's like a half an hour ahead of us.
Just trying. Well, thankfully we have a decent multi-beam map of this site, and it really is just a cone. So we're not dealing with a lot of cliffs and dangerous terrain. We'll, you know.
Yeah, it really becomes challenging when we don't have good bathymetry and we can only see out maybe 100 meters with our sonars.
Rennie,
So we're basically
oh, go ahead.
doing a soft serve ice cream style swoop around this mount. Is that right?
Yeah.
Rennie, how small of a radius would it have to be for the ship to just sit in the middle? And
That would be the length of the tether and however much we can get out of the hypotenuse. So it's a 35-meter tether. Argus's lowest depth that we like to keep is 10 meters, just to protect against any heave. So, and if you don't want Argus, if you're okay with Argus not looking at Hercules, that buys you a bit more tether because the tether is coming out of the opposite side as the camera.
Right.
So safely 25 meters, maximum 30 and change.
25, and it starts to, after that it starts to pull on Hercules' tail because that's where the tether comes out from the back.
Yeah.
So we really have to be aggressive then on the thrusters to overcome the force applied to the ROV from the tether pulling on it. And if we're anywhere near a cliff, that results in a giant dust storm. So you
All right,
can't.
that ought to be good there. I think we're going to be coming 135.
Roger, coming south now.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about this system is the two-body system. So the Hercules, if it's within that 20 meters or so of Argus, it's almost, you don't feel the tether at all. It's really an amazing vehicle to operate in that respect.
Well, you guys make it look easy.
Thank you. We try it.
I just want to mention, we're not seeing a whole densely populated seafloor right now, but we are seeing quite a diversity of species down here. Right in front of us is the black coral bathypathes. I think that's what that is. But we're also seeing a three-pronged or three-frond species called umbellapathes. That's the shorter one to the left. There's a couple there. We're also seeing some sea stars with long spindly arms. That's called a bracingid sea star. And of course, the octopus are in the distance. There's an acorn worm on the seafloor right bottom center to the left of the bathypathes. So if you look around, you'll see other things. It's just not really dense here, but there sure is quite a diversity going on.
I think if you zag back once we've got this, I think if we come back 135.
Yeah, roger. 135. Drop down into the little
Chad,
canyon here.
Oh, it's great shots.
By my watch, you've been on for more than 7 hours. Are you going to set a record here?
I've been on a lot longer than that.
Chad's not
Yeah.
he's not sleeping.
We launched at 4 p.m. Pacific, so I've been on watch since then. Except for 20 minutes for dinner and a couple of very short breaks.
And traveling to Monterey and getting on a small boat to get on the larger vessel. So
Yes.
It's been a long day.
I did get up at 5 this morning, so I've been up since then. I tried to nap this afternoon, and my brain wouldn't let me.
Too excited. So how many cups of coffee so far?
I only had one in the afternoon, and I've had a little bit of tea, but I stopped that a couple hours ago. I don't want my adrenal glands to explode. But that's okay.
Chad, lots of us are.
I was just going to say we have weather
trying
coming in, so I was just going to try and stay up to knock this dive out, and then I'll pay for it later.
Lots of us are trying to live through you, Chad. We've been watching you on watch for almost as long as you've been on watch.
I went and took a nap getting ready for the shift and was surprised to wake up and hear you still on.
Any shimmer?
This is a nice little line of octopus.
There's a potential male. You see that arm is curled straight at us? That's probably the male appendage.
What is that in there, a Pepsi can?
Looks like a Pepsi can.
It
Wait.
does feel like these,
Barbasol.
there's just a few
Okay.
That's Pepsi.
males around, and they seem to almost have kind of like a harem posture, kind of looking over a group. Do we know what the ratio is? Is that garbage down on the right?
Yeah, it's a
A
Pepsi,
Pepsi
can.
can.
Uh-huh.
All right.
This is just a long fissure. This
Really
is
is.
pretty
Wow.
cool.
So it's actually, I'm going to be heading west so we can follow it a bit.
Okay.
Right, westward. Bridge nav.
Come up just a bit, Jake. Come on, right under your nose.
Let's do 50 meters bearing west, or sorry, bearing east. East. Yeah, thank you. Eastward move. Apologize. I got my the other west.
Hanging around me too long.
Yeah, I know. It's bleeding over. I knew it. It's funny
These
though. You knew
pillow
what I
lava
meant because you were still
formations
going
are
east.
really
What's that?
amazing.
You were still going east, so you must have known what I meant.
Yeah. I was following the crack for a minute.
Yeah.
Prime real estate.
Really is.
Chad, remind me, did we put down a marker at one of these octopus to be able to return to it when we were out with Amari? I think we did.
Last time?
When we were with Embari, I think we put out a marker so we can return to the same octopus.
Oh, yeah, but I wasn't with you in March. But you never came to the Octo Cone, right? You went to the Octopus Garden?
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
a different location, but on Davidson.
Oh,
So I was just in
gotcha.
my mind, I was thinking, gosh, I wonder how long these, brood for. We think we know, but we don't have an exact figure.
Right.
So it'll be fun to keep revisiting that spot. What we're looking at is a large black coral called bathypathes.
Turn
It
on the
looks like
porch
some of
light.
the polyps have been eaten at the top, and there are
Porch light on.
some crinoids on the stalk. I'm not sure if they eat them. They might.
So there you go. That's why they call them black corals. So when they they die, or when their polyps are removed, you see the color of their skeleton, which is black.
Jake, when you guys shifted those lights, was that between dives or was that before this expedition?
That was on the last leg.
Okay.
They also got bumped a little bit when we got entangled in fishing gear,
Oh, really?
we think.
Okay, I can kill the porch light now, thanks. What do you think, Steve?
We
Are they
are-
better or worse? Or? Non-committal. They do need a little midnight work.
So we're viewing a giant husky.
Yeah. Spectrunculus grandis. Isn't that a fabulous name?
Yes. We are transiting around a volcanic cone that's on the southeast flank of Davidson Seamount. Davidson last erupted about 9.8 million years ago, and it's now extinct. But you can see the beautiful pillow lava, the shapes of the rocks here remind us that this was an active volcanic spot.
I don't know if it's been said yet, but Davidson was the first feature to be named a seamount back in the 30s, 1933.
Great shot there.
Some nice flying, Dan.
Yeah.
So underneath the head, you'll see two little filamentous fin rays. Those are the modified pelvic fin ray. Usually the pelvic fin rays on a fish are more farther along the body, but in the cusk eels, they're right below the chin.
Bridge nav. 40 meters east.
If you've been following our dives these last days, you'll notice that a lot of the species of fish and invertebrates that we have been seeing are very different. We haven't had any thorny rockfish, hagfish. These things are not occurring here.
Yeah, I think down here we tend to see fish that are more cruising along, not so sedentary, but are on the move, tend to be scavengers. So the cusk eel is a scavenger, the grenadier are scavengers. So they will be present at the whale fall.
Is everybody ready for top 3 questions and comments we're getting from the public?
Yeah.
Sure.
Bring it on.
All right, so it just lit up when we started talking about octopus leg cramps and yoga. I don't know if people have been sitting in tight confined positions for the last 8 hours since launch, and they just need to stretch their legs. But there's a big response there. Second, there's a huge amount of interest in how to get involved in the technical side of an operation like this. There's been a lot of comments like, I'm realizing I'm in the wrong industry. What I do is not nearly as cool and as interesting as this. I wrote this one myself and actually typed it in so that I wouldn't, feel like I was betraying some sort of integrity thing. But even things like, don't burst my bubble and tell me it's not as glamorous as this appears, that kind of thing. So I'd love to hear, once I tell you the third one from our tech team, about how they feel about their work. And the third one was back to the citizen science. All of the octopus counting volunteers, one voice said the opposite. It was, can we automate this with software that can scan for octopus so that all the citizens can stay off octopus counting? And has that been something that you guys have experience with or have tried? So I guess the
Yeah.
ones I leave you with are the
Oh, can
auto
we?
count, octo auto count.
I don't know how much the ship is moving. It looks like there's a lot of shimmering coming out of this crack.
Yeah, and not any octopus.
And not any octopus.
Maybe
Is there
it's too
ability to
hot.
stop for a little bit?
Yeah, I can stop and backtrack a bit. Good with that?
Yep.
Okay, bridge nav. Hold position. And let's do 30 meters west.
Oh, can we get a reset on the optode? It flattened out.
Can do. I'm gonna
Yep.
power cycle that thing.
While we're getting set up, we'll probably get to those questions in a minute, but I'll just mention that artificial intelligence, scientists have been trying to work on that in terms of analyzing video, because there's so much video collected from different vessels around the world, including Nautilus for sure. And I know MBARI as well, the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. And they're in the infant stages of it, but I think they're making good progress. They're just trying to get the basics, like looking at what a sea star image looks like or a fish looks like. But maybe with the octopus, those postures, they are pretty, I don't want to say standard, but looking at those 8 arms coming off in the brooding posture, maybe it is a search image that AI will be able to tackle sometime in the future. But for now, I think we're on our own.
Yeah, having that, you know, building an AI kind of processing of this data would be, you would really need the input of humans to cross-check and build a system that would be capable of that.
Zoom in a bit, Steve.
Yeah, it's all
Please.
this computer learning that I know I've talked to a couple of MBARI programmers about, and it's very complex. But
That's good.
so here's an example of shimmering. So there's certainly warm water coming out of this area, but this is one of only a few that we've seen in this area that does not have octopus associated with it. So that kind of begs the question, why? Why are there some areas that are packed full of octopus, and then some flow areas like this that don't even have a single octopus in them? So, and we don't come across these. This might be the 3rd one we've seen, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly,
poke it?
99% are with octopus. You want to poke it?
Bridge nav.
I don't know how far you're going to be able to get the optode in that, because this seems to be kind of a wider.
Add 10 more meters west.
One way to find out.
Chasm,
I
but
could do a quick
yeah,
one if you want.
Sure. You can do a quick one.
So the temperature
Steve, go ahead.
is coming up here, but it's not any higher than some of our last spots where there were octopus.
And the porch light on, please.
It looks like we don't have any data points coming in yet after the power cycle.
Really?
Does it take a little bit?
Oh.
Oh, here's an octopus.
Hey guys, what are you doing?
Nothing coming from the outtoad. Sure. Did it just flatten out, or has it been?
Oh, that's the O2 one. It's on a different. Sorry, go back to where you just were. It's not up on the Argus GUI, I don't think.
No, sorry. Yeah, I gotta poke it here.
It looks like there may be an octopus down in that lower cave.
All right, we have data points now. Thank you.
I'll type it in the data report as we go.
Yeah, and just because this is a wider breach, I don't think we're going to get extremely high numbers here. I think it'll be just more of a modest
Zoom in, Steve.
bump up in temperature.
That's good. Where's the shimmer? Right there.
Yeah.
Zoom in a bit more for us, please, Steve. Thank you. Good.
If anyone at home wants to see how the pilots operate the manipulator, you can check out Quad View or Satellite Feed 3.
Getting anything back there? Any readings there?
Yeah, it's coming in 2
I
point.
was watching it. So.
It's only come up not even a whole degree, so kind of what I suspected here, but that's okay. But I mean, it could be it's not even warm enough for octopus, or it's just it's too wide and we can't get that direct flow like some of those other areas. So we can just put it away. Okay. We'll get it back out when we find some smaller, tighter cracks.
Roger. Practice boat complete.
Did you want to mark that as the third reading?
Sure, you can still mark it.
Chad, I just increased the refresh rate on your chief side page to 1 second.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had control. I kind of lost the plot.
Oh, no worries.
Going back. Thought it was my computer. Forgot what I was doing.
Yeah, so for there, it kind of leveled out at 2.5 degrees C, which is less than a degree up. But earlier today, we did get 9.4 or 9.6 degrees C in one. So that was a significant 9.4 degrees C, which is only 1 degree lower than the warmest we've ever measured in this area. Our highest is 10.4 ever.
Jake, you got that float keeps Jake, the float keeps bouncing towards you.
Hey Nav, if you could, I don't know if you did this already, mark this as the third reading.
Okay, Steve, you can zoom
Roger,
in just a bit there for me.
While I do that, I think I'll do a DVL reset, and then I will mark it. Moment here, figure out where we are. It's actually probably pretty accurate. We're facing 315. Yeah. Okay. All right. You mark that. Sorry, what was that? Optode 003. Okay.
To follow this crack for a minute, devoid of octopus crack.
Yeah.
So to get back to some of the questions Justin brought up, yes, this is a very exciting field, and you are seeing one of the most exciting moments for the scientists involved in this project. But I think Chad could speak to the amount of logistical planning and replanning, and for a third time planning this type of activity, especially in this year when things have changed so much. It's
Bridge
a
nav.
lot of planning.
Yeah, I'll answer that in just a second.
So Chad, sorry, I just called in a move. Is that okay to continue on our circle, or do you want to hold here for a bit?
Oh, no, let's continue on the circle.
Okay.
Sure.
If we can call it a circle.
Yeah. Knew it wasn't going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I know we're not, you know, like mowing the lawn in the sense of every circle is adjacent or right up against the other one. I know there's a little bit of separation and stuff.
Yeah, still seems to be doing pretty decent. And then you were talking about cross lines, or would?
Well, as we kind of are getting tighter and tighter circles, it comes to a point where kind of rely on your guys' judgment if it's just more efficient to kind of now do the more traditional mow the lawn, kind of back and forth across the top, because there's not as much of a slope in these areas.
Sure.
But I defer to you, because
I think if you look at HYPACK, we're coming east right here. Then I'm going to do a bit of north, east, and maybe a north move. And then from here, we can just do east-west lines if you want.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's great.
And you can just let me know whatever spacing you want.
Yeah, how far is that across from kind of north to south white lines there? There are previous tracks? Or
so this?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That is 100 meters right there. Across from here to here is 160.
Oh, but I can see 100 meters to the line above it, basically, kind of where the...
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, it's about 100 meters there.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're...
So the white...
this white line here?
Contrail, yeah, that north one to where we are now.
Gotcha. Is, about 100.
Yeah, about 100. So how many... If we had 100 meters wide or so to cover with back and forth, what do you think is reasonable? How many passes do you think?
Depends on what kind of view overlap you want. I mean, we could do, if we did 100 meters, say like something like this, about 100 right there. And then did them every 30 meters.
Yeah.
We could do 4 of them.
4 of them?
Probably something like that.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's some good flow here too, and we do have some octopus, which is cool. But we can move on, since we're gonna come up and complete this circle, and then we're gonna kind of mow the lawn several times back and forth east to west over the summit of this cone.
Okay.
And we've seen some of this before, but we'll have, for people at home, we'll have opportunity to stop and perhaps measure some of these areas.
Are we moving now?
Roger that. Ship has moved. I don't know if Argus has, but we will be moving east.
Right, moving east.
But yeah, Chris, to answer that question, certainly a lot of planning, and it's just amazing that Ocean Exploration Trust could implement a COVID-19 mitigation strategy for this calendar year, or at least the end, summer through the end of the year, because a lot of us presumed it just wasn't going to happen. I had 10 days at sea on the NOAA ship Shimada scheduled for July, and that was scrapped because of COVID. But OET came up with the resources to, have a skeletal staff. They had to reduce crew, but they also implemented quarantine and flew their employees everywhere, and they were able to pay for the quarantine in a hotel for 14 days, all that kind of stuff. They have all these protocols on the ship, so I felt very safe coming into a bubble here. It's been great, but the planning has been very extensive. Dates changed multiple times as OAT had to deal with delays and rescheduling cruises and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing all these moving parts kind of came together.
A lot of shimmering in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Greater Farallones National Marine Sanctuary, we had three cruises canceled this year because, you know, it was bird and mammal observations, and having people on the boat, you know, was not possible. What we weren't able to do, what we're able to do here. So it's really amazing and a feat. So thanks to OET.
And the telepresence is a unique opportunity that lets us do this too.
Yeah, they were
Right, they had the platform built for sharing this with the public that the science was able to piggyback on.
that could be one of the benefits of this whole thing, because they did the research and implemented this system that enables scientists like yourselves on shore to communicate via voice. Because in the past we always had just the text chat line, the science chat, which has been a great resource because we have so many experts that can log in, watch the video, identify organisms, point things out, ask for collections. But now that we can get 2 or 3 people talking in the science party line, it's fantastic. And
One in Argus.
yeah, there's octopus flying away in the Argus view. It's pretty cool.
Taking flight.
But yeah, I was leading a watch just yesterday from my office, and now I'm on the ship, and you know, I know everyone wants to be on the ship, and it's a better experience. But one of the positives that's going to come out of this is the future cruises. Even if we get a complement of 6 or 7 scientists aboard, we can have another 2 or 3 join us, you know, over audio at various times. So there's a lot of
I saw your setup too.
things.
That was pretty
yeah.
cool. A lot of monitors.
Yeah, that was fun. Set that all up. Yeah, because people at home, you're seeing, you know, the main camera most of the time, and you have the ability to switch between a couple of cameras and a quad view. But at home, when we're trying to participate and lead these watches, we need a lot more information at our fingertips, and we also have a lot of documents we're recording information on. We have maps, we have graphs, we have all sorts of stuff, and so it's been helpful to be at home with multiple monitors, multiple computers, to be able to view all that information kind of in a miniature form to what this control van has, which is like, you know, 30 monitors everywhere. It's like a mini NASA control center.
Oh, we got a flight.
Liftoff.
Really cool.
Zoom in just a little bit there, Steve. That's good, thanks.
We're getting some questions from people who just joined wondering what's the species of octopus. And another older question that I'd love to get to from Australia is how many eggs we estimate the females might have.
This octopus doesn't have a common name. The Latin name, the genus, or the scientific name is Musoctopus robustus. It's one of 13 or 14 species of this genus, and this genus has that unique brooding posture we've been seeing, only this genus. As far as egg clutches, we've been able to count several females in the past. It's not a high sample size, because their eggs are really well hidden. It's hard to enumerate all of them. But we get in the range of 30 to 50 eggs in a clutch. So, you know, somewhere around that number is typical.
A lot of octopus have a incredible ability to change
Oh, you can
color
zoom
and
out, thanks.
pattern, texture. As Chad was mentioning, the new documentary on Netflix, Octopus My Teacher, highlights that a lot. We're not seeing that in this species. Chad, can you speak to that? Do these octopus change colors, textures, that kind of thing?
Just the speculation would be that their chromatophores have, you know, if they've evolved from shallow water cousins, or if shallow water cousins evolved from them, they just either lost or never developed the full extent of being able to adjust their chromatophores to all the different not ink levels, the color levels. So they're in the deep sea. These guys are so deep, this species never sees the light of day. And so the animals that are around them don't see them either. So there's no reason to have these chromatophores for either communication with other octopus or for camouflage, because there's just no, there's a lot of visual acuity in the deep sea because of things like bioluminescence. So there's still, I'm ignoring all of that right now, but just pure visual sight with illumination with like front lighting, that doesn't exist down here. So being able to change your color isn't going to help you down here.
That's great footage of that grenadier. That's the ghostly grenadier, Coryphonoides leptolepis. I've never seen it swim up above the seafloor, although that's what they do. I just rarely see that one up in the water column.
We did see a couple on descent just a little while before we reached bottom, but that was a spectacular view, and what a great name.
It was great. It
Very
has this long nose in front and then pigmented tail.
I would challenge anyone in our anyone viewing to come up with the best ghostly grenadier costume for Halloween, since it is October.
Well, now it is technically October 10th, but when we started this dive on October 9th, we were a day late for World Octopus Day. So, but we're close.
But it is Cephalopod
Week,
Curiosity
right?
Week or
Yeah.
something like that. So I think we're doing okay.
We're in the
Maybe one
ballpark.
week there'll be maybe one week there'll be chitin curiosity week for all those chitin lovers.
You know, we could
One
propose
day.
that.
Oh boy.
Year of the
Thank
chitin.
you for that. Thank you for that. We had a
Justin, you
question
can pick
about
lead.
whether, yeah, we had a question whether there's a collective noun for octopus. Kind of like a flock
There is.
or a herd or a murder of ravens.
There is. It is a consortium of octopus,
Yes, consortium.
which is pretty fabulous.
That's where I ended up as well. But first I stumbled across a few references that said there isn't one because they're not usually found together.
Wow, here's a fairly large individual coming up. So actually, if we could do a quick zoom on this one.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve, zoom in.
By the lasers. This one might be in senescence. You can see it's droopy, it's stretched, it's not moving very much. So those are signs indicative or pointing to it's probably served its purpose and it's on its way out.
Wow.
We've also noticed when we collected a senescing male with Mbari, it was very similar in kind of these stretch marks, if you will, and kind of flaccidness. But they also seem to swell with more seawater or something, they actually get a little larger. And that this one was
Zoom in some more if you want.
clearly larger than some of the other animals we've seen
Good.
today. So this is what happens when you have a senescing female or male. They become lethargic and just less active, and then they slowly die.
Well, how old do you think that? How old are they when that happens?
I don't know about this species. That it hasn't been well documented how long they live.
No guesstimates?
I would, you know, they're like, say the giant Pacific octopus lives like 3-4 years, but it has a much faster life cycle and only 3 months of brooding time. So if these guys, the females brood maybe 2 years, 3 years, again, we don't know. I would just guess, and this is just a guess, that these guys probably live 6, 7, 8 or more years.
Wow.
Because everything in the deep sea just happens at a much slower pace. Growth, development, reproduction.
Pretty slow respiration too.
Yeah, we were counting breaths essentially with Mbari.
I think we'll have to move soon, 040.
Oh yeah, go ahead, that's fine. Thank you for the shot. That's a good one. I think it's the first
Thanks, Steve.
fairly obvious senescing one we've seen on this trip. Erica, do you remember, weren't we getting like 12 to 15 breaths per minute or something like that?
And sometimes fewer.
Yeah, was it sometimes
like 5
fewer?
or 6 sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
if I
that's,
remember correctly.
yeah, so that's one of the metrics that you can kind of use to estimate, you know, it's respiration, but you know, how much oxygen they're consuming, how active they are, that kind of thing.
I think roughly the heading you're on ought to be the direction Argus is going.
Yeah. Come up a bit, please, Argus.
Yep. Nailed it. Look at that.
Totally.
Oh, wow, this is a long line of them.
Yeah.
If you look at the Argus view at home, there's a nice line straight up, and then it kind of bifurcates to a few more lines, or at least some different directions.
Yeah, that's up far enough. Just wanted to see the line there.
This is cool.
Wow. Just incredible.
This is nice.
So we're moving our way over the top rather than doing concentric circles, or are we still on a concentric circle route?
We're just, I just called it a move north, so we're still feeling the northeast from before, and once we get to this final end of this north move, I think we'll be doing kind of a mow-the-lawn pattern east to west over the top to fill in what we haven't filled in so far. And we'll have pretty good visual coverage of all of it by the end.
Yeah, you can really see that shimmering. Oh man, look at behind it too.
What?
It splits off into a horizontal line.
Does. Which way should I go?
2 paths diverged.
Right or left? Dealer's choice.
Which
Both?
door?
Wow.
Oh, this is cool.
Wow.
The sponge is gorgeous.
This is great. So as we are getting higher and closer to the summit. We haven't been on this side of the summit before though, but this is kind of what we saw on the west side last year, is a lot of this vertical topography, but really long lines of octopus. I think there's just potentially more cracks and fissures at the top of this thing. That's where the pressure gradient is most concentrated.
Look left a little with Argus, please.
Looking left.
Thanks.
Great.
Should I go north or come back down that other line? Just keep going north.
Yeah, I think you're still feeling a little of the northeast, and then we'll be going north.
Northeast, I can go.
I think so. Argus is heading west right now.
There's another little. I can basically left or right from here, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, or forward. So northeast is right.
Chad, if you want me to mark anything on HIPAC, let me know. I think probably all the video tagging that Taylor Ann's doing is more in depth.
Yeah, her fingers have been
Yeah.
like nonstop back here.
Trying.
Yeah, it's great because Taylor Ann's logging a lot of the observations, and when we get off the ship, we're given a hard drive with a lot of the data from the cruise, including all of the observations that she and the other data loggers put in. So I can put it into GIS and look at the points with all of these notes corresponding with a time code to the video, and then look at the video that is exactly at those observations. So it's a really cool system.
We're seeing a lot of these crinoids. I think that's what they are, or black coral. I can't tell, but we're sure seen a lot of them. So maybe there's good flow for them here too. Being at the top
I
of
was
this
gonna
cone, there's
ask
probably
you.
good current too.
You guys ready
Some
for a
feather
nice
stars.
random sampling of 10 comments that just came flowing in?
Yeah.
Know where your loyal viewers are at? All right. We have one comment. I personally think octopus go into altered state of consciousness when they're brooding. Another person's really into watching above ground volcanoes and thinks it's really cool to see all this old lava and hot spots. He's been checking out the Nautilus webcast for a few years and really like them. Thanks. Another comment on that senescing octopus said it looks like it's a different color. It's more purple.
Uh-huh.
And another person is surprised that hashtag Tunicate Tuesday isn't a thing yet. And questions of do we ever discover new species on a dive? Appreciation that these fish move their tails so effortlessly. And last but not least, maybe a good one to talk about, do you know if there's a specific reason there are so many octopus in this area? A consortium of octopus.
Yeah, that last question, we still don't have an answer to that. We just know that the octopus are attracted to the warm areas, so there's some fundamental reason these mothers are laying their eggs in the warm water flow. So the fact that these guys have been around for presumably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, means they're successful. So there must be a good reason to it. And we think it accelerates their development, shortens the time it takes to brood. And there might be other reasons too, like aerating their eggs, keeping them clean, lowering the energy cost of the mother,